not all of them, but then it led to all of them being a part of the Grecian government. Go on.
It's Psalms 106, and the epoch, and it says, they did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them.
Right, they were mingled among the heathen and did the same things that they've done. Read that verse again, brother. I want to get this right.
It says, but they were mingled among the heathen and learned their works.
Right, they were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. So that's how they became Gentiles. All right, now, are these actually, now we know for certainty based on how I'm breaking it down in the spirit, right, or how the Spirit of the Lord is breaking it down. We know that these couldn't have been the actual heathen, because if you're an actual heathen, you can't be not a heathen. 1 minute you're not a heathen, and then the next minute you're a heathen. No. So this would have to be talking about Israelites that became heathen-like, and that left being a heathen, because they came back to what was what. Go on, bro.
And it says, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them.
Right, which was a snare unto them. Go on.
Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils.
Right.
And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons.
So they were actually sacrificing their sons to the god of Molech. Like that god still goes about even to this very day. Like you got this thing where they set up the Bohemian Grove. You got this Bohemian Grove thing, and what they do is all of the powerful people get together. Whether some of them may be in Hollywood, a lot of them may be private, top government officials, and they all get together in this assembly, and they watch the main guy burn their children alive into the fire. Okay, inside the statue, which goes back to Molech. So you still got that practice into this very day. Okay, but they were doing it back then too. All right. Yeah,
Acts 10:1. There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band, a devout man, and one that feared the Most High with all his house.
Right, and one that feared the Most High with all of his house. So we know, even based on that precept, because you got certain Israelite groups that are saying that this man was an heathen. That's what they're saying. You got certain guys that are saying that he was an Edomite, but how could he have been an Edomite if he truly believed? If he was truly an Edomite, he would have never believed. He couldn't believe. Because it tells you in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, it says that, matter of fact, brothers, you get it. Give me Daniel 12 and 14. What you got? Give me Daniel 12 and 14 real quick. I think it's 12 and 10. 12 and 10. It says that many shall be made white and purified, but the wicked shall not understand. So how would he pray to the Lord if he doesn't understand the Lord? That's one thing about the wicked, which is Esau. They wouldn't understand to even pray to the Lord to begin with.
Daniel 12 and 10. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly.
Right, it says that the wicked shall do wickedly. Go on.
And none of the wicked shall understand.
None of the wicked shall understand. So how would Cornelius pray to the Lord if he was of the wicked group? He wouldn't be able to do it. Because in order for you to pray to the Lord, first and foremost, you got to have it within you that you know that there is a higher power to pray to. Yeah, go back and get Acts chapter 10, brother. Go on. Yep.
This is Hebrews 12 and 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright.
Right.
For ye know that how
And you could tell based on that right there, because how would you sell your own birthright? Which was a big thing for a red prodigy to be. That shows you he had no understanding of the Most High, even back then. So how much more now? Go on, bro.
Verse 17. For you know how that afterwards, when he would have rejected, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected.
Right, he was rejected. Go on.
For he found no place of repentance.
And also, this man can't repent. And Esau is really representing the so-called Europeans. Now this brother here, he's one of the tribes of Israel, all right? Because in order for you to believe in this truth, you had your forefathers, or through the Spirit somehow, some way, you gotta go back to the Israelites. Okay, so that's the thing. But if you're a pure-blooded Edomite, or let's say a pure-blooded other nation, you can't get this because your what is it, man? Your biological setup or your DNA can't resonate with this.
Right.
That's the best way I could put it. You know, you're not biologically set up to resonate with the word of the word of the Lord.
According to scientifically, the typical Edomite pineal gland is calcified,
right?
Which is a connection to the Most High, which a lot of the jakes, all the jakes have got more of a. Even though it's not 100%, we're going to get in the kingdom.
Yeah.
We still have a connection with Yehovah Hashem Yahushua.
Yep.
Yeah. Romans 10.
Yeah, Romans 10. Yep.
Yeah, calm.
They going, bro. Yeah, give me Acts 10 again. Because see, the thing about it is we don't just teach that it's all about color. I mean, color does play a part of it. Because when you're dealing with Esau, but really overall it ain't about the color, it's about what nationality you fall under. So if you're the nation of Israel and you receive this truth, you gotta be an Israelite, because even an average Israelite can't understand this. Okay? So if an average Israelite can't understand this, how much more the actual other nations? They're not gonna get this, man. Go on, brother. So if you look like an Edomite and you're able to receive this truth, most likely you're an Israelite anyway. That's easy to understand. The Spirit.
So back to the book of Acts chapter 10. It says there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band, a devout man, and one that feared the Most High with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to the Most High always.
Yeah, keep going.
So, skip that to verse 28. It says,
the angels. I tell you, when you go to the part with Peter, you know what Peter meant. Yeah, you're start from that.
It's Acts 10 and 28. It says, and he said unto them, you know how that is unlawful. It's like it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation.
Right, so Cornelius was saying this because Cornelius even knew that it was off to deal with an actual Israelite to deal with an actual other nation. But Peter, when you actually go all the way to the beginning of the chapter, it talks about how, matter of fact, let's go back to we're gonna read the whole thing, brother. We're gonna read the whole thing.
When you go into that word another nation, it's in the Greek, the word is alaphilos, which is made up of two words, which is alus and philos. Basically, it breaks down into another tribe or another tribe. And if you look into the actual definition, it says one of the descendants of the tribe of Jacob, of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yes. Yep.
So he was just saying he was of another tribe of Israel.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna read the whole thing. Give me Acts 10 and 1. You know where we're gonna read the whole thing.
So back on verse 10, Acts 10 and 1. There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band, a devout man, and one that feared the Most High with all his house, which gave much alms to the people, and prayed to God always. He saw in a vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of the Most High coming into him, and saying unto him, Cornelius. Verse 4. And when he looked on him,
so that's one thing we always have to keep in mind. It's that an angel of the Most High appeared before this man. Okay, so that's one thing. Keep that in mind. Go on.
So it says, and when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, what is it, Lord? And he said unto him, thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before the Most High. It says, and now send men to Joppa.
So wait a minute, so we gotta do number, there was a second thing that happened. His prayers and his alms were remembered. Okay? That's another thing right there. But we're gonna read some more. We're gonna find out something else too.
It says, and now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. He lodgeth with one Simon a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou ought to do. And when the angel which spake unto Cornelius was departed, he called 2 of his household servants, and a devout soldier of them that waited on him continuously.
Yeah, keep going.
It says, and when he had declared all these things unto them, he sent them to Joppa. On the morrow, as they went on their journey, and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour, and he became very hungry, and would have eaten.
Right, yeah, this is what I wanted you to get. Keep going.
But while they made ready, he fell into a trance, and saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the 4 corners, and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of 4-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, rise, Peter, kill and eat.
Yeah, so you got Christians, they'll read that and think, okay, well you can just eat anything you want to eat. But it wasn't talking about actual food, it was talking about something else.
But Peter said, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean.
Right.
Verse 15. And the voice spake unto him, again, the second time, what the Most High have cleansed, thou call not common or unclean.
Right. And really what this was talking about was the man that he was going to meet. That's what the unclean beast was talking about. It was talking about, what was his name again? Cornelius. It's the Gentiles in the Old Testament, which was also known as the uncircumcised. They were what you would call, they would consider the unclean. All right? It wasn't actually talking about unclean food. All right? It was talking about the man that he was going to meet, Cornelius. So he was known, he was a symbol of the unclean, so to speak. Go on.
This was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven. Now whilst Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should be, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house, and stood before the gate, and called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, were lodged there.
Yeah. In other words, he waited there. Go on.
Whilst Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, behold, 3 men seek thee. Arise therefore, and get thee down, and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them.
You're going.
Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius, and said, behold, I am he whom ye seek. What is the cause wherefore ye are come?
Okay.
And they said, Cornelius, the centurion, a just man, and one that feareth the Most High, and of good report among all the nation of the Jews.
So wait a minute. So that's the 4th thing now. So he had a good report amongst the Jews. Right? His prayers was remembered. The angels came before him, and then Peter was sent to go deal with him. So when you look at those 4 things, now what we find out is that the Most High was dealing with him. It's in the book of Joel, it says this, let's read it.
Right, this is Joel 2:27, it says, And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel.
Right.
And that I am the Lord your power.
Okay.
And none else.
And none else. So he's in the midst of Israel and none else. So when you have an angel of the Most High that comes before you, you have a prophet of the Most High that comes before you, and his prayers and his arms are remembered of the Most High. The Lord was rapping with him, so he had to be in Israel. So when you connect that precept to this precept, he's an Israelite. All right, it's based on that. We don't even have to go further on this topic. The argument's already been shut down. Okay, and the reason why we know and we understand this because we were taught by the teachers that were inspired by the Heavenly Father, and that's why we're able to go into this like this. Okay, that's just the thing, because you got Israelite groups that teach otherwise. They teach that because he was a part of the Italian band, okay, he's an actual Italian or no. Even to this very day, you have people in the military, okay, in the British military, in the American military,
Acts 18 and 2,
and that kind of sort of thing. And the way you'll know that is by knowing the history, touching on some kind of secular history, a little bit there and there. Okay, and that's how you really understand what was going down 2,000 years ago. Anyway, yeah, read on.
Again, Acts 18 I'll start at 1. It says, after these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus.
Chapter 2 now.
Born in Pontus, lately come from Italy with his wife Priscilla.
Right, so you had Israelites that came from Italy. Okay? And that's why, and really check it out, because Rome was Italy anyway. The capital of Italy is Rome. So the superior power country that was back there 2,000 years ago was Rome. You had a lot of Israelites that lived in Rome. That's why you have what you call the Book of Romans. Okay? But yeah, give me Acts chapter 2. You guys finished with that, right? Okay, yeah, give me Acts chapter 2.
Acts 2 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under the
So there were dwelling Jews. Even you even had Jews, those that knew they were Israelites, that were scattered outside of Israel. So you had two kind of Gentiles. You had the Hellenes, the Hellen and the Hellenes, something like that. So you had two kinds of Israelites that were scattered abroad. You had the one of them that didn't know who they were, which they were the Hellenized, and then you had the other Hellen ones, which were the actual Jews.
It says devout men, and Cornelius was
a devout man.
Devout man.
Yep.
So it was the Jews. We had Jews in Italy, all over the place.
Yep, Ephesus, Bithynia, Cappadocia.
You had the ones that they knew they were Israelites, and they kept the traditions. They will come back 3 times a year to Israel to worship, just like in the law. And then you are the ones that do not know.
Exactly.
The ones that they just grow up among the Greeks from generation to generation, and they just didn't know. All their records was gone.
At the offside.
Like right now, all of us, we didn't know. At one point, we didn't know completely, man. So we had to come back somehow back to the Heavenly Father. You know, back then there was a remnant of the Jews who actually knew.
They were Jews.
They kept the laws. They worshipped in the temple. You know, the time when the Lord came back on the scene, when they came back, that's why He made their whip, because they were defiling the temple, selling. You're selling my father's church.
Merchandise.
You know, the Romans at that time, they made us keep our land. They allowed us to keep our customs, our laws, our traditions. They allowed us. The only thing we had to do was pay tributary to them.
That's all it was.
Until what was his name? Titus, the one that 70 AD.
Yeah, Titus Vespasian.
Until that time, now he got so mad at the Jews because of the rebellions that he decided, I'm going to destroy them all. That's why now you have the story of 70 AD. When that whole land now, anybody who did not run away, they stayed there, they starved to death, they were eating each other until they were all killed, man. They got taken into slavery, and then we scattered now all over the world now. That's why now, that was us now, down to that land. And ever since then, we never go back now,
Yeah, keep going.
is Romans 15 and 19. Through mighty signs and wonders, by the power and spirit of the Most High, so that from Jerusalem and round about unto Illyricum, I have fully preached the gospel of Yahushua.
Yeah, so Paul was that guy. He was sent to pretty much bring Israel back to the Most High. I'm talking about the Israelite foreigners, so to speak. Because see, the Christians, the way they see it, they think that, or they were taught that the Jews, they all stayed in Jerusalem. No, the Jews were outside of Jerusalem, as we just read. And we're gonna actually read some more of that. Give me well, I don't think we read it. We're gonna read some more. Give me Acts chapter 2. Again, we're gonna read all the way down.
So this is Acts 2 and 6. Now when this noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded.
Yeah.
Because that every man heard them speak in his own language.
Yeah, that's when the that spirit of tongues came upon them. Go on.
And they were all amazed, marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans?
Right.
And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born?
Yep.
Parthians.
So in other words, they were speaking all of the languages of the nation of the Israelites that they came across that was scattered outside of Israel. And they marveled. It was like, whoa, how are these disciples able to speak in our language? What's going on there? Okay, but what it was, the Spirit of the Lord entered into them to speak those tongues. Like the Christians, they were saying, speaking in tongues is that ain't talking about that. That ain't what it's talking about. You know what I'm saying? The tongues is reference to the languages.
That's all it is, just different languages.
That's all it is.
Oh,
yeah. Yes, so read on, brother.
It says Parthians and Medes and Elamites.
Yeah, they were surrounded around those East Indians, man. Those are the Elamites today. Go on.
And the dwellers in Mesopotamia.
Babylon. Go on.
And in Judea and Cappadocia.
Yeah, which is in Turkey. Go on.
In Pontus and Asia.
Yeah, I think it's around the same area.
Phrygia and Pamphylia.
Right.
In Egypt and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene. And the strangers of Rome. Jews and proselytes. Cretes and Arabians.
Yep.
We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of the Most High.
Yeah, so Paul was, like I said, Paul was that vessel to bring them back to them being Israelites. Because see, what happened was the Jews that knew they were Israelites, they didn't really believe. So it was set up through the Spirit that to make them jealous to go preach to the Gentiles or the Israelites that were Gentiles to see if they would believe. Okay? And Paul was raised in hell because what Paul did, Paul brought the Gentiles, according to the Jews at the time, into the temple, and man, Paul was raising all kind of hell in it, man. They were offended at the idea that they brought all kind of people into the temple, but these all people were Israelites. But they looked like Greeks, some of them looked like the nations that they were surrounded with, that were mingled amongst them. And when you read in the book of the Acts, the 18th chapter, okay? Yeah, so you got any more now?
It says verse 12, and they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying one to another, What meaneth this? Others mocking said, These men are full of new wine.
In other words, new philosophy going.
It says, but Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, Ye men of Judah, and all ye that dwell in Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words.
Right.
For these are not drunken, as ye suppose,
Right.
seeing it is but the third hour of the day.
Right. They were not. In other words, they were not drunken with other philosophers. Okay. As they thought they believed at the time. As they thought. Let me say that. Okay. They had the truth. Anyway, brother, which was the resurrection doctrine that they were teaching at the time. And we're teaching that same thing. The resurrection doctrine, which goes all the way back to the Apostle Paul. Okay? But really, when Yahushua was on the scene, that was the resurrection doctrine. Alright? Because Yahushua symbolizes the resurrection of the whole house of Israel. That's why he, He died and he went to hell. In other words, the grave, the word hell means what is it, beneath the earth or lower state. Okay? From the Hebrew word shoah, which means the grave. So he was put into the grave and he rose on the third day. And the number 3 represents resurrection as well. Alright? Because you have to remember Yahweh Shai, he didn't just die for his own sins, going back to when he was Solomon, if you can perceive what I'm saying, but he also died for the sins of the whole house of Israel. Therefore, resurrecting the whole house of Israel back to the Most High again. Anyway, you got something, yeah?
Yeah, let me read this one. It's Ephesians 2 and 11. It says, "Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh,
Right.
you are called uncircumcision."
Right. They were also known as the uncircumcision. Now, when you read the book of Acts, chapter 10, as we just read, they're known as the unclean, which Peter didn't understand. Okay? They were known as the unclean beast that Peter said that he wouldn't eat. Alright? But when you read this scripture here, they're known as the uncircumcised now. Go on.
You are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh.
In other
by
words,
hands.
the circumcision represented the Jews. In other words, the Israelites that knew they were Israelites. Go on.
That at that time you were without Christ,
Right.
being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel.
Right, being alienated. In other words, they were estranged from the commonwealth of Israel. Okay? So they forsook the way of being a Hebrew Israelite and mingled they didn't mingle themselves, they were scattered abroad because of the will of the Lord, but they mingled themselves with the doctrines of the heathen. So from that point, they disassociated themselves from the commonwealth of Israel. Alright, go on.
And strangers from the covenants of promise.
Right, and strangers from the covenant of promise. So these Gentiles in the New Testament, we know without a shred of a doubt, based on the understanding thereof, that they have to be Hebrew Israelites because it's talking about the covenants. The only nation that's under the covenant are these people on the side. Okay, go on.
Having no hope and without Yahweh in the world.
Right, they had no hope because they were all away from the commonwealth. They were away from the true doctrine. Go on.
But now in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Hamashiach.
Right, so read that again.
But now in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, ye who sometimes were far off,
right, ye who sometimes were far off, going,
are made nigh by the blood of Hamashiach.
Now are made nigh unto Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Why? Because of his blood. So his blood, he shedded his blood not for his own sin, but also for the sins of many, the other Israelites that were scattered abroad as well, so that they can be brought back, resurrected. Okay? And we're still preaching the resurrection doctrine to this very day. And as we're preaching so, now we're all coming back together again, like this brother. Okay? This brother's learning the precepts, and he's gaining the true understanding of the precepts. And it's not only that, but he's gaining the true understanding of who he is. Okay? Because we were once like this brother right here. We didn't know what was going on. He was into the Christian church and everything. But now we started learning. Not now, but I'm saying back then we started learning the precepts and growing in the faith, and now we put on this garment. Okay? The garment of truth, the garment of who we really are, as being the Jews. Go on.
It's, verse 14, it says, "For he is our peace, who have made both one, and have broken down the middle wall of partition between us."
In other words, he's the mediator between the Most High and the Israelite men. Go on.
"Having abolished in his flesh the enmity,
right,
even the law of commandments."
Because what was the enmity? The enmity was that we had the Most High was angry at us, and he was separate. Okay, there was a friction between the Israelites and the Most High. So Yahweh Shai was the guy to do away with that enmity. Go on.
"Even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man,
right,
so
one
making
new man.
peace."
For making peace. So that's why he's also known as the man of peace. Okay? Because he came to make peace between the Israel and the Most High. Okay? And it tells you that in the book of Hebrews too, I believe it is, man, where it talks about him being the mediator. So Yahweh's intention was to bring back, to bring together and to bring them back to that higher estate again, back to him again. That's why the Messiah is going to return the second time. He's not coming to just save everybody out here that claim to be believers of the word of the Most High, or as they claim themselves to be Christians. No. The reason why he's coming back to regain his people, man, beginning with the elect. Once the elect are being regained in the whole house of Israel, they're going to get right. And they're going to be what they're supposed to be.
Verse 16 says, and that he might reconcile both unto Yahweh in one body by the
there's
cross.
that word reconcile. Look at that word reconcile, brother. Look at that. We gotta look at that. We gotta look at that word reconcile. So when you learn this truth, man, this truth it makes you glad, man. It makes you rejoice, because especially if you're a brother that didn't know about this, you know, it puts a smile on your face, or it should. Because now you're realizing that you're not just a black man in England or some black dude in America, man. You're realizing that you're someone special and that you have an inheritance out of that.
That's right.
Okay? That's the beautiful thing. Anyway, brother, we don't.
Right, so reconcile is apokatalaso. Apokatalaso.
Yeah.
It says to reconcile completely, to reconcile back again, to bring back a former state of harmony.
That's exactly what it means. It means to bring back. Read that one more time.
It says I'll read it. Apokatalaso. Bring back a former state of harmony.
Right, bring back a former state of harmony, because the word re means back, right? And the word conciliation means to, what is it? Bring forth harmony. Okay, when you look up, because it's a compound word, when you check it out. So, hey, that's what it is right there, man. So, how can all of the other nations be reconciled when they weren't reconciled with the Most High from the beginning? It's not possible. That's impossible. Go on.
I'll read 16 again. It says, and that he might reconcile both unto Yahweh in one body by the cross.
Right, in one body. That's another thing, in one body. Read what you had before, brother. Ezekiel. Somebody get Ezekiel 35.
Okay, this is Ezekiel the 37th chapter. Where from?
Yeah, 37. Yeah.
From the top? From the top or where from?
No, read where it talks about the stick.
The stick.
Yeah.
37 and 37.
Oh, with the stick.
Oh, I found it. This is Ezekiel 37 from verse 15. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Moreover, son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it, for Judah and the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and all of the house of Israel his companions.
Right, his companions. Go on.
And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, no, slightly, I missed the verse. It says, verse 17, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand.
Yep.
And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, Wilt thou not shew us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribe of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even the stick of Judah.
Right, in other words, he's going to bring the southern kingdom, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and the northern kingdom all together as one. Okay, go on, bro.
And one more verse, it says, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand.
Right, and they shall be one in mine hand. Make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand, because prior before they were together,